Mom who is considering abortion is putting her trust in the abortion industry and not in God. And so
Mhm.
it's our job to move her trust from abortion to Jesus, and we move her trust from abortion to Jesus
I
through
am
us.
yours, I am yours, I am yours, send me, Lord. I am yours, I am yours, I am yours.
Welcome to the Gospel-Centered Pro-Life Podcast, a podcast designed to equip, encourage, and challenge you in pro-life ministry, and always with a focus on the gospel. Stay tuned.
I felt your passion, I've touched your heart.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Gospel-Centered Pro-Life Podcast. I'm Vicki Kosiorg. I serve as the Sidewalk Training Director for Love Life. And I am joined, as always, with Elijah Boyer.
Yep, and I am the local Charlotte City Coordinator here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah. And we have a combined, 20 years, 30 years, something like that, 25 years of sidewalk outreach. So we record this podcast in the hopes of helping people to feel equipped in sidewalk outreach, to feel encouraged, and to not do the dumb things that we did in our younger days, right, Elijah? At least I did a lot of dumb things in
No,
my
there's a pretty
younger
long list
days.
of dumb things I've done and probably still do.
Probably still doing, both of us. But anyway, we're going to hop right into it. We often try to open our podcast with a story, an inspiring story. But this is the next two podcasts are going to be pretty long, chock full of material. And so we're going to get right into it. This podcast is generated by something that happens all the time. I get asked all the time by people who are friends of or related to abortion determined women who approach them either in the church or maybe they're a member of the family, and they tell them, I'm going to get an abortion. I'm pregnant. I don't want this baby. I have to have an abortion. And so these are people that they are going to who they may have some sort of a relationship with. That's why they're going to them. But those people are not trained at all to deal with an abortion determined woman. Now, what they have going for them is hopefully the love and respect of the person that is abortion determined and is coming to them and admitting that this is what they are planning to do. But we do believe that there are effective, strategies, things you can do and say to help convince an abortion determined woman not to abort her child. And these people are not trained in that. They have no idea what those things might be. Now, that's not to say that someone that's not trained could not effectively talk to a loved one and convince them not to kill the baby. And the Holy Spirit, without a doubt, can take over, will take over, and will guide and equip us. But the purpose of this article that is written and that we're going to discuss over the next two podcasts is to give some just guidelines for people as they are counseling for the first time, hopefully the only time, that someone who is abortion determined has approached them and what to do and say. So, by the way, I wrote this article when someone actually contacted me who was in one of our so-called House of Refuge churches, the churches that we've trained and equipped to counter the abortion and orphan crisis in our country and in our world. And this person said, help, someone just came to me. She has scheduled an abortion and I don't know what to do or say. So the first thing is what not to do. And that's one of the biggest fears. What if I do the wrong thing? So we're going to talk about that as well. So what not to do? Don't panic. First thing is don't panic. It's easy to think, oh my goodness, the life of an innocent unborn child is now weighing totally on my shoulders. And that's overwhelming and scary. But don't panic. It's not all on your shoulders. God is the one that created that baby, loves that baby more than anyone. And the Holy Spirit is with you if you love the Lord, and He will guide you. So don't panic, because that usually leads us to doing things that are probably not great and that we
Yeah.
might regret. Don't come in harsh or condemning. Don't, immediately coming on strong with judgment and truth, even though there's certainly a place for truth. But if you come on too quickly with like harshness, condemnation, judgment in what the woman is considering, they will usually shut down. They will usually not talk with you. And what we want to do is get them to open up and talk with us. So we have to remember that our model with Love Life is not an emphasis on winning an argument, but on rescuing someone who is in crisis with compassion. And our guiding model is the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to add to the what not to do is you also do not want to bring in God's forgiveness in an unhealthy way or too soon, because in America, our
Yes.
culture is pretty saturated in the message of forgiveness, but we sometimes are very lacking in the understanding why we need forgiven, and not to abuse that grace that God has given. So in the same way, you don't want to be too harsh. You don't want to come off as harsh or condemning. You also don't want to be coming off as so lax and so overly talking about forgiveness that it creates a license to sin. So what you should do is, before contacting her, you need to pray. This is spiritual warfare. Ask God for wisdom, the right words, her heart to be softened. And I would say a scripture that comes to mind. So you want to take the time that's needed to pray, but maybe there's not a lot of time. You look to Nehemiah. Just before going to the king and asking if he can go and build the wall, he prays for the Lord to grant him his request. So we can go to the Lord, and we want to do that first. Suggested conversation starters. You can say, I'm really glad you reached out. This is exactly the kind of moment where the church can step in with truth and love. Before I guide you, I have a couple of quick questions so I can be as helpful as possible. You want to ask, do you know how far along you are? Because you want to know where she is. You want to know how far developed the baby is. Do you have an appointment for an abortion scheduled? And can you tell me your situation? Why are you considering abortion? Is it fear? Is it pressure, finances, etc.?
Right. Yeah, it's so important to show interest and empathy and compassion, and ask a lot of questions, because they're more likely to open up if they feel that you really want to know. You really want to know what they are going through. So the next portion is moving toward her in love quickly. So time matters. If the appointment is soon, then there is a sense of urgency. You don't want to appear frantic or urgent, because we actually want to be everything they're not, and they are frantic and urgent. So we want to be calm and take time to slow down, pause in this frantic desire to solve an immediate, terrifying, what they see as a problem. But it would be good to find out in the questioning, do you have an appointment scheduled, and when is it? Because if it's coming, in an hour or tomorrow, you have less time to speak. So you want to be aware of that. But approach her with calmness. Be sure it's private. If it's a public discussion, of course, she is not likely to open up. So pull her aside to some place where it's a private discussion. Compassion and empathy is so important. She has to feel you are for her. You may not be for her decision or what she is contemplating, but you are for her as a wounded, hurting, terrified human being.
Yeah.
And don't assume things. Don't assume what she has not already told you. Be open to hearing what she wants to share with you. So you might say something like, hey, I heard that you might be going through something really hard right now. I just want you to know I care about you and I'm here for you. no matter what. Now, be careful with that no matter what statement, because if she goes on to say, good, I'm glad you're here for me, then drive me right now to the abortion. We're not talking about that kind of no matter what. We're saying our love will not be removed. Our care for you will not be removed. But we want to be very careful that our help will not include what we know God would never have us do, which is in any way contribute to that abortion.
Yeah. Number 3, we want to listen before you speak, and not just, you want to actively listen and ask gentle questions as she's sharing. Things like, what's been weighing on you? What's making you come to this decision? And you want to let her talk without interrupting her. And you don't, now pay attention to what she's saying, but don't immediately correct what you're hearing, but listen. And when the time is right, gently bring in the truth. So the 3 talking points that we share in all of our sidewalk outreach is God's truth, what God says about the baby. Your baby is made in the image of a holy God and loved and known by him. The 6th commandment says, thou shalt not murder. Children are a blessing from the Lord. We want to share about the humanity of the baby.
Okay, and I'm going to go into the humanity, and so I want to reiterate what Elijah said, because if there was one thing that I would say is the absolute most important, for lack of a better word, strategy that we train our sidewalk counselors, is that what we have found to be effective is framing what we say around those 3 major content areas.
Yeah.
God's truth, which Elijah just went through and gave some examples. I'm going to go through the humanity of the baby. That's the second thing. And the third thing that Elijah will talk about is available help and resources. So the reason that we focus on those 3 things is we have counseled literally thousands of women over the years. And one of the questions we always ask of a mom who chooses life is, what changed your mind? And overwhelmingly, it is something said in these 3 main content areas. That's why
Yeah.
we use them, because we know that they're effective. So God is, and they don't have to be in this order. It's not like a checklist where you go through, okay, here's everything God has said, and now let's move into everything that shows us the humanity of the baby, and then the final one, here are the help and resources. But you want it to approach it conversationally, but try and get in. We train our counselors, no matter how long you have, try to get in all 3 of those, what we call the key talking points, in that amount of time. So the second one, the humanity of the baby. Here are some examples of that. Your precious child is a unique individual, your son or your daughter. So talk about the uniqueness of the baby. Talk about the baby as a baby, your child, your son, your daughter. Try to avoid saying it, which is actually harder than you would think, because we don't know the gender.
Yeah.
So we tend to call something we don't know the gender of, we'll call it, but don't, because it depersonalizes that baby. So assign a gender, call the baby he or she, or say he or she. Your baby already has a beating heart as early as 17 days from conception, brain waves as early as 6 weeks from conception, 10 fingers and toes, and every organ in place 8 weeks from conception. So knowing the fetal facts, those ones that I just mentioned, those are the big ones. If you can just memorize those or write them down, or show her with maybe a video of babies at that age in utero. They're all over the internet. Those are the key things. Saying your baby is vulnerable, an innocent little person growing in exactly the place God designed to be a place of protection. See how in every one of these things, I'm trying to paint a picture, a visualization of what they can't see. Many of them have not had an ultrasound. Some of them will refuse to get an ultrasound. So we're going to paint with our words the humanity of this child. Your beautiful child, designed by God in his image, already has all the human DNA he or she will ever have. So those are just some examples. And by the way, this article will accompany our podcast, and I want you to know that because you don't have to take notes. You can read over this article afterwards. But these are things that we have found that have been effective in helping women to choose life. And so now Elijah's going to talk about that third content area.
Yep. So we want to talk about the available help and resources. And so first, I want to say something that could have been in the do not say is you don't make a promise that you don't intend to keep.
Yeah, that's good.
Always stand by your word. And so don't overpromise and underdeliver. If you're going to err, underpromise and overdeliver.
Absolutely, because it erodes trust.
Yeah.
If we make a promise and then they find out, wait, you said blah, 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 they're not going to, we've been proven to have lied or misled on that point. So they could say, well, what else are you lying about? What else are you misleading about?
The mom who is considering abortion is putting her trust in the abortion industry and not in God. And so it's our job to move her trust from abortion to Jesus, and we move her trust from abortion to Jesus through us. So we have to show that we're trustworthy.
Amen.
So we would love to appoint a mentor with the backing of a church. That mentor will walk alongside you for a minimum of a year, go over every obstacle you face, and link you with resources to help. No matter what you face or where you are from, we will do our very best to help you. And so I just want to say this. In my experience, this has been one of the most powerful resources to bring up. I've said to, hey, my apologies. I have 6 kids, and you may be hearing them right now. So my apologies if they're coming in the
we
podcast.
We love children. We love life here.
Yeah, we love life around here. So I'm a little distracted because of like what is going on in my house. But no, so I have said to women, because a lot of them feel very much alone. I've said there's people who want to walk alongside of you. I've seen in their eyes that was the thing that switched them, or I've seen women break down in tears just over that simple statement.
I agree.
So we want to mention pregnancy resource centers in her area, find out what those are, maybe even before getting on the phone or speaking with her, and offer to go with her for a free ultrasound. And then know community resources if possible and mention them. So with Love Life, we have a long list of resources that are available. If you're not connected with Love Life, I'll tell you that we found most of those through Google. So, do with that as you will. Yeah. And you want to speak relationally, not like a script. We're not just making statements. Our example is, I believe your baby is really precious and created by God. And I also know this must feel overwhelming, but you're not alone. We can help you through this. And I would add, going back to what Vicki was saying about the 3 points, you can hit all of those 3 points really concisely. You can say, God loves your baby and I want to help you. And you've hit all 3 of the points. So it's not hard to hit those things.
Right. That's a really good point, because I don't think it's anywhere in this article that I wrote. But for example, in my 15 to 20 seconds that I have as a mom is walking in, where I'm trying to hit all 3 of those talking points. This isn't the situation we're talking about with this article, because you're sitting down with the mom. Yeah. But I will start off saying, your child is a gift from God, made in his holy image, with a heart that's already beating. And no matter what you are facing, we are able to help.
Yeah.
And that gets in all 3 of those major topics. And then we can break that down. But the next section, which piggybacks off of what Elijah's talking about, is to offer real tangible help. So the first thing, and I agree with him completely, the mentor is huge, to know that they're not alone in this. But also then to break it down into, okay, what are some of the specifics? Because this mom is feeling overwhelmed, feeling she can't do this. And oftentimes the offer of help is what is going to tip her over towards the edge of a choice for life. The church is called to come alongside abortion vulnerable families and to help and meet real needs. So the church probably has resources and a benevolency fund. We're working with a mom this morning. I spent hours going over some of the resources out of the benevolency fund of a church that is helping us with this mom, and how we could help her. And actually, I followed kind of what I'm going to suggest to you in this section, this is what I did. We need to first ask questions to figure out what are her greatest needs, and not what we think are her greatest needs. What does she think? So ask, what would make this feel possible for you right now? What are you most afraid of right now? Most of them report high levels of anxiety and fear. What are your biggest obstacles? Is there anyone pressuring you to abort? Very important question. First of all, coercion to abort is illegal. But secondly, it'll give you a sense of, is this really what she wants, or is it what someone else wants? And that'll guide your counseling. Do you have family or friends or support at all in this? Oftentimes, what we discover is we are the only voice counseling for life. All the
Yeah.
friends and family are saying it's just easier to kill the baby. Even the doctors, many of the doctors are saying it, just go ahead and kill the baby rather than come up against any risk or perceived risk. Um, Here's an important one that I only actually started asking recently, but I have found great fruit from this question. What are your dreams and goals for your life? Now, how this relates is pretty much every abortion determined woman is thinking, my life is over. Everything I wanted in my life is now permanently dead. I will not be able to achieve what I wanted in life. And they'll say it in different ways. I'm not ready for a baby yet. I'm still in college. I'm so young, whatever. But what they're saying is my dreams and goals will never be reached. And the baby is the reason for this. So when you ask that question, you've got a beginning sense of how to answer not only that question, but all these questions, how to answer the fears, the obstacles. Maybe you have specific resources in mind. But in terms of the dreams and goals, having stories of other people who had a baby in an unexpected pregnancy and how they reached a similar dream or goal can be very powerful to show them that it is possible. So, some of the things you would offer after asking these questions, I would love to go with you to the ultrasound. Let me help you set that up. Offering a baby shower, that can be huge because it is daunting for any first time mother, or for any mother, honestly, anyone who's pregnant, thinking, how am I going to afford all the things a baby needs? And especially if they're young and it's the first baby, it is overwhelming. I wanted my baby, but I remember thinking, I have no idea what to get for a new baby because I didn't. I had no idea. So offering a baby shower where that's taken care of for them, everything the baby will need. Financial help, if that's possible, through the church, that is almost always a reason. There's something about finances that is terrifying this family or this mom. Housing support, know what kind of housing resources are in your community, because it's another one that is a huge issue for a lot of the moms that are in an unplanned pregnancy. Connecting her with the pregnancy center because they have all kinds of other resources besides what Love Life or the church can offer. Ongoing friendship. Be sure she knows she's not alone. I'm going to be here with you through this. And then the mentorship program, which Elijah already covered, and it is so pivotal.
Yeah, I want to highlight something that you said about how oftentimes we're the only people counseling the mom to choose life for her baby, that everyone else is a voice of death. And so
Right.
if you find yourself in this situation, maybe you're thinking, maybe my opinion isn't really that valuable. Maybe I shouldn't push in here and press in and ask about this or try to talk about it. There might be, I can imagine for some of you, some hesitancy to speak. And I would use that point as an encouragement. You might be the only person in this mom's life who will speak for the life of the baby and will speak for what is good and true. And so be bold, because there's a life on the line and you might be the only one who's going to bring truth.
And that is absolutely true. I mean, I've done this for 16 years and I hear it almost every day.
Yeah.
You are the only people telling me I should choose life for this baby. So that is a weighty responsibility that God has charged, I think, every one of us to be truthful about who He is, what He says, and to be truthful about the fact that that life is sacred and
Yeah.
precious, and it should be protected at all costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't think to yourself, maybe there's someone else better to speak to the mom, because you might be
Right.
the only one. So
Yeah.
the best
And
one is the one who's there.
I don't know if I said this, but I'll say it again because it's important to hear. While you're not necessarily the expert, if you are just a friend who's listening to this podcast, hoping to find advice on how to talk to your abortion determined friend, you may not be the expert, but you might be the only one she's willing to talk
Yeah.
to. And so let your voice be a voice for God and for sanctity of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even open up about myself. Sometimes I think with this ministry, like, surely God has better people who could be doing this. Like, I know pretty much all
Yeah.
of my flaws, and I'll tell you, surely there's someone smarter,
Yeah.
someone braver, someone more
Yeah.
articulate who could be doing this ministry. But you know what? That person's not there. I'm here. And
Yep.
so I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
So number 6, invite her to pause the decision. You don't have to solve everything right then and there. In fact, it's highly unlikely that you can, but ask her to slow down. Even if you say, hey, you have an abortion scheduled for Monday, would you be willing to push it off until next week and we think about it? Or would you be willing to sit down to go to the pregnancy center with me before you go to your abortion appointment? Just get her to slow down. Now, you never tell a woman to calm down. It doesn't work, but that's essentially what you're doing is just, let's slow down. What you could say is, would you be open to just pausing and getting an ultrasound first, just to see your baby and have all the information before making a decision?
Yeah.
This aligns with sidewalk strategy. Getting her to stop and reconsider can save a life. This is a very important decision which affects not only your life, but the life of your vulnerable child. It would be wise to take a deep breath, hear about how we can help, and pray before you make this life-changing decision. And this reminds me, because Vicky was making fun of me for this yesterday meaning when we were recording, is when I was much younger. I guess I can't say much younger. It was only like 10 years ago. But there was a mom who came. She was pregnant with twins, and she was being abused by her husband. And she came to the abortion clinic because she didn't want her kids to be abused the way she was. And I was the only one on the sidewalk. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know the answer to this. But I said, would you just wait, and would you just give me time? And I promise you, I will do everything I can to find a solution.
Yeah.
And that, that is the thing that bought us time to find a solution. And she ended up choosing life,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Vicky,
And I remember
Vicky
that.
made fun of me for it.
Yes, I did. And and I remember, it's just like it happened yesterday. I
Yeah.
remember getting this call from Elijah, saying, I got a mom here, pregnant with twins. She's terrified. Can you talk with her? I talked with her also, but she chose life because Elijah was there, and Elijah slowed her down and helped her to think what she already knew. And that's an important point. These moms do know. They know that what they're doing is wrong, and they sometimes just need someone else to say, slow down, and we can solve this together, and it's going to be okay. Take a deep breath, and let's find people who can help you. So that is the end of our first part, and we're gonna continue this with our next podcast. But I hope that has whetted your appetite for how you can be able to counsel and to help when you're the one that's been called in to counsel the abortion determined moms. So stay tuned, and we will see you again, or you'll hear us again when we bring you part 2.
Give me an outlet for love. Give me an outlet for gratitude. I know it will cost me my life, but nothing Nothing's too precious since I met you.